Have you seen anyone the mind is under so much attack that they've been addicted to substances, they've tried to get off, and they're unable to stay consistent with healthier habits because they had some type of mental condition that was so aggressive that they were just like, I need to drink, I need to smoke because I've tried the other way and it doesn't work? Or have you seen people who have been successful time after time if they're able to follow the challenging practices consistently to improve the quality of their brain?
So I would say they're simple practices. I've seen people
challenging for people to.
I've seen people both ways.
Yeah.
Right, and often it takes enough pain for them to change.
Meaning
but
what?
Sometimes, like losing their kids.
Oh, man.
But sometimes, even when they lose their kids, they don't change because their brain has been hijacked. I mean, I don't know if you're like me, but one of the reasons I never did drugs is I never wanted something else to control my life.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons. I also never wanted to make an excuse because I would see people, especially playing football in college, guys would get drunk after a game, and then they would not be well the next day at practice. That was one. I was like, I want to have an advantage, but then people would do things and they'd like cheat on their girlfriend. They're like, well, I was drunk. I'm sorry. I was like, if I cheat or do something bad, I want to own it. I want to be responsible for being a jerk or being an asshole or whatever I did, as opposed to blaming a substance that did that thing.
So you want to be in control of your whole life. And
Absolutely.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want anything else controlling me. And if you know these things are potentially addictive, it's like playing Russian roulette. It's like, I would never play Russian roulette. I'm like, that's stupid. You know, why would I increase my chance of trouble?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to think you're invulnerable, it's just not a smart way to live. But anyway, I've seen patients both ways. You know, some people come and I teach them how to correct their negative thoughts, and they walk out of my office. It's like, no, I can't do that. I'm attached to, I'm a loser. And other people, they get it. And I'm always trying to be, how can I be more effective? And I find the easier I make it, the simpler I make it. Like, you know, how do I get my brain healthy? Bright minds. It's like super simple, right? I mean, it's a little complicated, but it's your brain.
Yeah. What about the wave of plant medicine use and normalization of plant medicine? The people saying it's transformational work, helping them heal their pain of their past, helping them overcome trauma, helping them break through things they've never been able to mentally break through with. This work of ayahuasca, plant medicine, all these different things. What are your thoughts on that in terms of brain scan results?
Well, I actually did a study with Ibogaine, which is one of the plant medications. And
It's like an ayahuasca or...
It's like ayahuasca. And it wasn't good from a brain perspective.
Really?
But I think it's going to be an interesting, exciting part of psychiatry. And there are lots of studies. It's just recently legalized, not now, but in 2 years in Oregon. And
they're going to legalize what? Plant medicine?
Plant medicine.
In Oregon?
Mushrooms.
Oh, they are?
Psilocybin.
In Oregon?
Yeah. Microdosing.
Because
The problem is, I wish, so the big innovations in psychiatry now are magic mushrooms and marijuana and more medications. And I'm like, how about diet, exercise, and learning how to not believe every stupid thing you think? Don't you think we should at least start?
Those three simple
Let's
things.
start
and sleep.
there.
Yeah. And
Let's start, you know, with brain health. But I think it's going to be a interesting, exciting thing. But you know, psychiatrists were really interested and excited about Valium. And they were really interested and excited about cocaine. Freud used cocaine. And they went, oh, they're interested and excited about marijuana. And they go, well, the brain has cannabinoid receptor sites. Well, the brain also has benzoreceptor sites, and that didn't work out well. And the brain also has opiate receptor sites, and that didn't work out well. We should be finding ways to naturally increase opiates, and that's exercise.
Well, people say, well, plants are natural. You know, and this has been happening for centuries with our ancestors.
And cocaine is natural. right?
Right.
I mean, just because
Sugar is natural, I guess.
sugar is natural, right? I mean, is it helpful? That's the question.
So what about magic mushrooms or microdosing this? I've heard mushrooms are good to eat, food mushrooms.
Well, I have a supplement company called Brain MD, and we make something called Smart Mushrooms. I put a scoop in my shake every morning. Right. It's got lion's mane and cordyceps and reishi, and they have both immune system benefits and cognitive benefits. And I feel at 66, every bit as sharp as when I was 20. And
so what's the difference between those mushrooms versus the
they don't
medicine
have
mushrooms?
Hallucinogenic effects. So
what happens to the brain when we hallucinate?
It activates. It actually turns on some of the limbic or emotional parts of the brain. And if you're doing it in a therapeutic environment, you might be able to reprocess some of those painful memories in a different way. You might be able to separate from them, get a different perspective of them. But there are other ways to do that that might not have side effects. Like there's a treatment for trauma I like called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I studied that in police officers.
I hear amazing things from this.
So helpful.
And that does a similar strategy of
activates your emotional brain and then calms it. So I did a study with police officers who had PTSD from being involved in shootings. And most police officers don't want to be involved in shootings, that it becomes traumatic for them if they hurt someone. And like soldiers in war, and they were all off work, and on average of 8 EMDR sessions, they all went back to work. And it calmed down the emotional parts of their brain. So that's pretty exciting. There's another technique I use called havening, which is bilateral hemisphere stimulation. That's what EMDR is. You bring up the trauma, I get your eyes to go back and forth. And that trauma connects to another trauma, which can connect to another trauma. It's really interesting. But havening is just really simple. It's thinking about the trauma. I want people always to go into their pain, not away from their pain. And so, for example, I told you my dad died May 5th last year. And a couple of days later, I'm at my mom's house, and we're just going through paperwork, right? I mean, it's what you do after somebody dies. And some idiot, had a picture of my dead father in the mortuary in that stack of papers. And all of a sudden I find it and it hits me. And it just bothered me. And a couple of hours later, I realized it was bothering me. It was circling in my head. And so I teach my patients this. It's havening. It's like, think about what's bothering you. And for 30 seconds, stimulate both hemispheres of your brain. So as I do this, it's stimulating that side. If I do that, stimulate while you bring up the trauma. And do that like up to 6 times. And after the first time, I'm like, that's the last picture of my dad I'll ever see.
Wow.
And it was okay. And then I did it twice more. And the picture became my favorite picture of my dad because he was at peace.
Yeah.
And I slept like a baby that night. And the picture never bothered me again. It's just simple. And there's these simple techniques that everybody should know. Why do you have to be sick to learn how to be well? Shouldn't we have, and we have a high school course called Brain Thrive by 25, that we teach kids how to love and care for their brains, their minds, their relationships, and be purposeful.
Yeah. You got some beautiful techniques, some beautiful information. I'm very grateful for this. I've got, I think, a couple more questions if we've got some time. I've got so many notes here. This has been extremely helpful. I want to talk about memory, and then we can I think we can wrap it up because I'm probably going a little long here. But I'll talk about memory. In an age of having everything at our fingertips and having all the information available without needing to remember, how important is it for us to get back to remembering remembering I remember as a kid, I used to know all these phone numbers from your mom, your home, your dad's office.
Now we don't know any of them.
Exactly. I don't even know my girlfriend's phone number, right? It's like it's always programmed to click a button and have an action. How important is memory training for us as humans in a world of lack of memory? And what are a few things we could do to increase the ability to remember?
So like you're learning Spanish, working your memory helps you to keep it. And we actually have a course. I work with someone, I don't know if you've ever interviewed Jim Carroll. He's hysterical. He's a memory athlete.
Okay.
And yeah, you would love him. And he was a steel mill worker and selling Avon products. And then he had cardiomyopathy when he was 49. And as he was doing his PT, he was riding a bike, and rather than watch TV, he started memorizing things. And that was the secret. New learning with exercise.
Interesting.
He learned all the zip codes in the United States.
All of them?
All of them.
Wait, how many zip codes are there?
Thousands
Wow.
of them. In fact, you could just say, your zip code, and he'd go, "Hey, you're from Erie, Pennsylvania."
That's crazy.
His memory is just phenomenal. And then he learned all the Oscar movies and all the Oscar actresses and actors, and his memory is just unbelievable. He can go to a group of 2,000 people and give them tickets that have 12 letters on them and a movie on the other side, and he'll call on people randomly. You tell me the movie, I'll tell you the 12-digit number.
A lot like Jim Quick.
A lot like
Jim Quick.
A lot like Jim Quick. And he's hysterical. He's like a great entertainer. And if you use it, you get to keep it. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And so it's really important. Yeah, we're probably not going to be remembering phone numbers because we have our auxiliary brains. But our auxiliary brains is causing Alzheimer's to be diagnosed 3 or 4 years later when it's actually harder to get help. Because I would diagnose people when I first started in practice 30 years ago because their family would call me up and they say he's getting lost in a place he's lived in 30 years.
Ooh.
But now you just have to go, "Hey Siri, take me home."
Right.
And so these auxiliary memories are actually causing people to be diagnosed later. We should always be working our brains. New learning is just absolutely
Learning new
essential. So
skills.
Spanish is great. Learning a musical instrument is great.
A dance or whatever,
producing stuff for television is great. It's a new skill. Right. Marketing is a new skill.
Anything that challenges you.
Anything. And you should be doing things that are new and different. Like I know how to read brain scans. Like hopefully you'll come and I'll look at your brain. I'll know immediately, healthy, not healthy.
How many people have been through your labs?
Well, we have done 183,000 scans.
In how many years?
I have 3 in 30 years.
Wow.
And we have 300 NFL players. And I love what I do.
It's amazing.
I'm so grateful. I had no idea that when I decided to be a psychiatrist,
this would happen.
This would have been my life.
I'm very excited about your book. I was going through it. I'm a big fan already. Your brain is always listening. Tame the hidden dragons that control your happiness, habits, and hang-ups. There are some incredible exercises on how to deal with any type of struggle or stress that you might have in your life right now, whether it be addiction, whether it be negative thoughts, whether it be dealing with past traumas. You have the reasoning behind these things. You've got the exercises on how to overcome them. You've got everything in here, which is extremely powerful. You've got simple strategies. You've got more complex things. You've got graphics that explain stuff for me. So it's amazing. I think everyone should read this. Overcome pain from your past. It's funny. I just did a video yesterday saying if you can learn to overcome the pain from your past, your life will be 100 times better just by that one simple thing. And this is something you teach in here through the science, through the research. Everything you need in here to optimize your brain is here. Check it out. Get the book. Get a few for your friends. Your brain is always listening. Make sure you get this book. Couple final questions and then we'll wrap things up. This is a question I ask everyone at the end called the 3 truths question. So I'd like you to imagine a hypothetical situation. It's your last day on earth many years away. You've accomplished all of your dreams and goals, and you're happy and healthy, and everything you want to do, you've done. But for whatever reason, you've got to take all of your written work with you. Your video work, your content, it's all going to go with you to the next place, wherever you go. And no one has access to your information anymore, but you get to leave behind 3 things you know to be true. 3 lessons you would share with the world. And this is all we have to remember you by. I call it 3 truths. What would be 3 things you would share with the world?
Brain envy. Love your brain. Don't believe every stupid thing you think. Know what you want. And ask yourself every day, does my behavior fit what I want?
Yeah.
People don't do that. It's crazy. They should be teaching this to 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
What do you want? Relationships, schoolwork, money, your health. What do you want? Is your behavior getting you what you want? Rather than say you should do this or you should do that. Shoulds don't work. It's just getting people to know and then act. And if they have a healthy brain, it's easier.
Yeah. I'm going to acknowledge you for a moment before I ask the final question. The work you continue to do is so inspiring, and it's helping so many people when they allow themselves to learn, to apply it, and take action. So I really acknowledge you for being so passionate about this work, for showing up for people's lives, for being someone that cares deeply about human beings, the quality of their life, improving their brain health, which is the quality of their relationships and everything. I just think we need more people like you. And I'm really grateful that you're alive, healthy, and driven on this mission, because I think a lot more people would be suffering without you creating this work in a simple way, without you scanning people and getting the data that proves these things. So I really acknowledge you. And I'm grateful you're alive. I really am, because this stuff's really inspiring for me. Where else can we support you besides getting your book, following you on social media? Where else can we go if we want to learn more, if we want to take your courses, get supplements that can help our brains? Where should we go?
So the supplements, brainmd.com to support your brain. Amen University, we have courses, Amen clinics. I have 9 clinics. I have a new clinic in Dallas that's just crazy busy. Later this year, we're going to open a new clinic in South Florida.
Wow.
And then my wife and I do podcasts together. We have 847 episodes.
Oh,
called
almost as big as this.
The Brain Warrior's Way.
That's
great. They're like 10-minute little inspirational pieces to get people excited.
Yes.
Because we need a brain health revolution.
Yes.
Because with that, we can end mental illness, but it's never going to start with what we're doing now. We have to break the paradigm and create a new one.
Yeah. So all mental illness, or most of mental illness, is connected to brain health, would you say?
Yes.
All of it, unless there's some type of trauma that...
It's foundational.
Yeah.
If your brain's not right, you're not right. And it doesn't mean psychological trauma won't have an impact. But if your brain's not right, plus psychological trauma, going to psychotherapy is not going to be as good as it could be. Any oxygen debt state damages your brain. And I have like near drowning brains. They're
That's
just
not good.
awful.
Really?
Any oxygen debt state, and sleep apnea is an oxygen debt state.
Really?
Because